Welcome back to my program. You know, back in 2008, we went through this huge financial disaster where bailouts had to come from Wall Street. All these big firms bailed out to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars. Remember the big insurance company AIG, still, I think, the largest insurance company in all of America. We paid them like $180 billion because of their ineptitude of running their business properly. Now, look, if you got a business and you make some mistakes and you go under, the federal government doesn't come bail you out. But all these insurance companies and all these financial institutions were too big to fail. So Congress gave them some money. The people on Wall Street, these Wall Street fat cats, so abused it, they kept their big bonuses and kept their lavish lifestyles. But we said, well, that's just what the price we have to pay to keep the financial structure solid so that the little guys like you and me don't lose money. I said hogwash at the time. I say hogwash now. So here we come again. Now, in the last session of Congress, in the waning days just last month before Congress shut down, they go ahead and loosen the protections that you and I gave. Congress a few years back passed something called Dodd-Frank, which was regulations that really limited the exotic investments that Wall Street could make. They could make it. They could go gamble all they want, but you and I wouldn't have to bail them out. Well, boy, they came in, and what happened was the campaign contributions just poured in right and left to both Republicans and Democrats alike. And so just before this past Congress goes out, they go ahead and loosen the restrictions on Dodd-Frank so that the gambling can start again. And it's complicated, I know. It's complicated for me. But particularly with AIG that got the bulk of the money this last time around, they were using something called credit default swaps. They were kind of exotic investments. What they were doing was guaranteeing that certain mortgages would be paid off. And if they weren't paid off, they'd come in and pick up the balance. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is, if you're in the insurance business and you're going to insure something, you got to have reserves back in case the worst happens, in case the wall falls down. Well, the wall fell down, and the financial institutions in general, and AIG specifically, did not have the money set aside to pay the claims that were necessary, to pay the investments that were necessary. So again, Congress put in Dodd-Frank. Now that's been wiped away, and you and I are at risk again. It's just unbelievable to me that Congress would be so irresponsible. My congressional delegation in Louisiana, where I live, overwhelmingly supported the loosening up of the restrictions. Oh, we can't regulate too much. We got to give them room to run their companies. Well, yeah, that's fine. Give them all the room they want to run their companies. But don't make you and I have to pay for their mistakes, for their ineptitude. I don't get bailed out. You don't get bailed out. And Wall Street should not be bailed out. And these big insurance companies should not be bailed out. The only member, by the way, in my home state of Louisiana that really went to bat and did so very aggressively was Senator David Vitter. He's now running for governor of Louisiana. But he took the lead with a senator named Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown is a senator up in Ohio. I know him well. We were secretaries of state together some years back. And so Vitter, the conservative Republican, Brown, more liberal Democrat, got together to say, look, we've got to protect the average person out there. We've got to protect their investments. It was all fine for a few years, but now it's Katie bar the door, and these insurance companies and these Wall Street fat cats are coming back in numbers, and look out for the exotic investments. They're too big to fail, so they say, right? Hogwash, I say. We ought to put an end to it. That's my column this week, by the way. Go and read my column that's up at JimBrownUSA.com, and I comment in more detail about all these exotic investments and the irresponsibility of this last Congress to bail out these Wall Street fat cats. Be back right after this message.